Let us come to order. Call to order the regular meeting of the Carrabelle City Commission. It's Thursday, October the 3rd, 2024, 6 p.m. We're in Carrabelle City Hall. We'll start with the invocation and the pledge of allegiance to the flag. If you would, please stand. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for the many gifts and blessings that you give us. Especially thank you for sparing the folks and the citizens in our great town of Carrabelle from the harm and damage that could have been inflicted by this terrible storm that we encountered last weekend. We were spared, we were blessed, you protected us, yet and still we still ask that you walk with these folks that have been affected. Walk with them. They've been hit mighty hard in a lot of different locations. They need your wisdom, need your guidance, and need you to walk and go through with them. We ask that you give us the wisdom and guidance here tonight as we go through and travel through the city's business. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll start off with the consent agenda. And we have the September 5th, 2024 regular meeting minutes, the September 12th, 2024 tentative budget hearing minutes, September 23rd, 2024 final budget hearing minutes, and the attorney's invoices. Does anybody have any comment or question? No. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Brown. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Reese. No further questions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. This is the public's opportunity to address the board if they have anything that they would like to bring before the board that's not on the agenda. If anyone in the audience or public would like to bring anything to the board?
I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you, Keisha. Next on the agenda is commissioner comments. First, Commissioner Walden.
I have nothing tonight.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Brown.
Just really quick, I am also extremely thankful we were spared from the storm, but I do want to give a big thank you to our city and county workers, the EOC, and all of the volunteers who stayed, and for your dedication to keep us all safe. I know you guys worked some long hours, and we really appreciate it. And also, tomorrow is First Friday again, so be sure to come downtown. We'll be open late from 5 to 8 p.m. There's live music at Mr. Bo's Rio Carrabelle and karaoke at Harry's. And then the stores will be open late with refreshments and snacks.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Gray.
I have nothing at this time.
Commissioner Reese.
Quick update on the memorial. We've got the steel in place. We've got 3 of the 4 forms up. We're waiting to pull the prop out. We have to separate the propeller from the shaft. I've loosened and removed the retaining bolts, so they're ready to go. We were talking here about how to separate it and using a press to do that, so we'll probably get on that. Hopefully, first of next week, we'll have that separated. As soon as we do, the shaft goes in, we button up the form, we pour it, George is on the ball on it, and we're ready to go with it. We still need to talk about our plaques and the verbiage for the one in the back. Other than that, we're getting close. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Reese. And I would like to echo some of Commissioner Brown's comments about what I'm going to say is the marvelous work. It seems like sometimes that's an understatement when you have a great staff of people and a working group that does a tremendous job for the citizens of Carrabelle. And I was in and around and out and about, and as some of the other commissioners were, during the storm, which we were blessed that we didn't have hit direct. But anyway, our staff, they responded tremendously good. There was quite a number of them that stayed right here with it. They did not leave. And if it had hit us, they'd have still been right here. That goes from the water and sewer crews to the police department, which they actually, I think, camped here for about 48 hours, and the streets and roads and administrative staff. They were doing their work from afar. But anyway, I can't compliment them anymore by saying thank you for the great work that they did and performance during this storm. Okay. And thank you. Next is the staff reports. The city attorney.
I have none.
You have none.
I have none.
Okay. City administrator.
I have, we've been working on a logo for a while now. We approved last month our CRA logo. Up on the screen is a logo that we would like to present to the city commission for the city logo. If you guys like it, we can approve it, or y'all can discuss it.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So I worked with Sign Design on this, and we made some little tweaks. The one she originally submitted didn't have our local palm tree, so we updated that, and I asked her to add in a fishing boat, so she's added a shrimp boat there, and we changed the wording a little bit. But I think it pretty much encompasses a lot of what we have going on here in Carrabelle, and it's more of a city seal rather than just a logo. Most cities have a city seal, so that's kind of what I was going for with this design.
Thank you very much for the palm tree change. It reflects the sable versus the other. Thank you.
Any other comments?
No, sir.
I have a question.
Commissioner,
No, I have.
I'll get to her. You have any?
No, I have.
Okay. I'll get to you.
What is the square?
If you come to the front, please, to the podium and give your name.
I'm Daylene Seeger. What, I understand that's the lighthouse, but what's the square on the other side?
It's the phone booth.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay, and my 2 cents worth, I think it's a nice logo, but me, personally, I like the one that's on the city administrator's shirt. And that's just me. To me, that, with the boats on it, could be tweaked a little bit, as was said by Commissioner Brown, where they've tweaked on this one and worked on it. In my opinion, if you wanted to add things to it and put in there like the charter date, etc., or whatever. But to me, those boats that are on that logo on her shirt reflects the history and the Carrabelle's history more than this one here. Now, this one that we're looking at on the screen, I'm not totally against. I'm saying that's pretty, it's nice, it looks good, especially with Carrabelle across it. But that's just my personal preference, is I like the one that she has. But that's up to this board. That's not up to me. That's up to this board.
I was trying to,
Steve?
I don't have my glasses, so I can't see it.
Steve,
I'm trying to put one on the screen.
I walked in and saw it tonight. How to say this?
Just say it.
My parents and myself spent a lot of money sending me to a very expensive private art college. And I take one look at this, and there are some things, keeping all the elements that are there, there are some things that could be done to really punch it a bit. It's a little bland and neutral in terms of color. For instance, and I'm going to give you an example. If, let's take the tree out, and if you just had the phone booth and the tower, and you switch them back and forth so that the tower and the birds were on one side and the taller thing was on the left, that would give it more balance across it. If you took some black, you triangulate and you use two color, like the color palette. What you want to do is you have three colors and you move them through the thing so your eye moves and it fluctuates. All that stuff I was trained to look at. I would love the opportunity to come over with Courtney and just maybe give her some suggestions as to how they might pop it up a little bit, some thoughts. So I think that it, when it gets printed on top of your letterhead and on things, it's going to be very gray, very light gray. And so I have some other thoughts, but I don't want to go on and sort of pick it apart. But I'm offering my unsolicited
Okay,
guidance.
okay.
And y'all can, if you will accept that, I will offer it, and then you don't have to listen to me or do anything I say. But I'll offer it.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And I got to say now, Commissioner Brown has put a lot of effort into the one that you're looking at, not the one that she just popped up on screen, but the one that's being presented tonight. She's put a lot of effort into this, and I think she's done a marvelous job. So she needs to be recognized for what she's
Thank you.
done, and it's a good job. And again, I think it's a good logo. It's a good, nice logo. And I'm not talking against that logo. I'm just making a statement that I think the boat and what have you reflects more of Carrabelle than the sunshine thing. But it does. It looks good, and I'll leave it at that. It's up to this board what you want to do. Oh, Keisha? Yes, ma'am.
I just feel like the police station probably should be more front and center and the tree more in the background, because the tree's kind of taken away from that. Like even she asked, what's the square? You know, it's just overshadowing the police station, and
Gotcha.
and it's kind of, that just draws my eye right to that tree and kind of washes everything else out. So that's,
Yeah, the tree is an eye catcher to me.
yeah. It's,
Yep. That and the rays is the first thing that grabs my attention when I look at
And
it.
then the boat maybe should be brought down a little bit, because it's almost a little too high up into the.
A different color scheme probably, because we do have a boat in that logo. If we utilize the color scheme that we have on the one to the left.
It's bolder.
That would make it more bold. Perhaps the coloration could be a little bit more pronounced.
Good observation. Anyone else? Commissioner Walden?
I kinda like the idea of taking that boat and put it down there below the city of Carrabelle.
Yeah?
And that way you're kinda mixing the two up. That's just my opinion. That boat, to me, don't look like a shrimp boat. That one
I was
does.
saying
Yeah.
that to Courtney
Yeah.
before the meeting. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if that,
Yeah.
it looks
See,
more like a trolling boat,
yeah.
not a shrimp boat.
Buoy tender or something, yeah.
That's right.
That there shrimp boat would look good in the bottom of that.
Would, well,
I got all these notes,
You
and I
got 'em?
can go back to Michelle and give her this feedback and put it all together.
okay. And I have one other, and I'm following and trying to visualize putting that boat underneath the Carrabelle. I'm visualizing that boat above
Instead of maybe
Carrabelle
the palm
instead of,
tree.
nope, leave the palm tree and put that boat above. Anyway, just my thoughts.
So I guess, Steve, if you want to give your suggestions to Sabrina,
Yes,
I'd like to come by.
Okay.
yes.
I've got a bunch of thoughts that
Mr. Pedrick?
Just because it's killing me, Vance Pedrick, could we actually put a light coming out the lighthouse?
Excuse me?
Maybe use some yellow, off yellow, and that would make it pop?
Maybe that's where the rays could come in.
Yes. Too many years of aids to navigation in the Coast Guard. It's killing me not having a light in the
I
lighthouse.
should have said that myself.
Instead of the sun rays, the rays off.
Off the lighthouse, yeah.
That's good.
Good observation. Yep.
I can't believe I'm about to utter these words. I love the color pink. You may notice I wear a lot of pink. However, I think I'm trying to imagine a police car with a pink logo on the side, or an officer's uniform with a pink logo. And it just doesn't seem like maybe there's another comparable color that would be a little peppier.
Well, they have their own logo, so it wouldn't be on their police car, but it would be on the city vehicles and the water and
Well, I
sewer
mean,
and
I
the streets
just
and
kind of
roads.
feel like it's gonna kind of pale out. I mean, where I love that, just like a flag or a symbol or something, but, I- anyway, I didn't go to school to learn any of this. I just, what my mind.
1893 is getting lost. You can't even see that it's down all that. And it may not be the most important thing on there, obviously, but you wouldn't be able to read that at any level. So if you want 1893 on it, then, you know, there's ways to do that. And I could see where you could put the shrimp boat, and there's just all kinds of them.
We'll meet.
Well, can we agree that we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll
We'll work on
re-hit
some
it
more,
again?
For sure.
Okay?
Do we have a time limit on this? No time? Okay, good.
No.
We've been working on this for over a year.
For a long time.
We can go on.
Few more
It's like a memorial, you know, it goes on and on.
It's fine.
Good.
Okay. So, Miss,
Okay.
If you don't mind, Mayor, really getting started with something is half of it, because you lay stuff out there and you put ideas out there, and then you start responding to it, and it's part of it. So
Literally
Well-
getting that took a year.
that's true. That's true. And I really am, I limit myself on saying anything because all the work on something like this is put in by people like Commissioner Brown. I haven't put any work into that.
I didn't design.
But, well, there are people that's their forte to do that. And that's just nothing that I've put any work into, so. But anyway, thank you, Miss Courtney. We'll
I
just,
have one other, and I will be leaving after my report because I have plans, but my other issue is that during our airport meeting, I was asked to get a price for a load of 57 rock, and I did that. One of our board members, when I sent that quote out, he says I can get it for cheaper. It's quite a bit cheaper. And so I had Dan look into it, and because it's an advisory board, there's exceptions for the conflict of interest laws. And one of them is that I have to disclose it to the public and to you guys, and y'all have to approve it. But it was quite a bit of difference, from like $500 difference. So if y'all are good with that, it's $800, so we could get a load of rock out there.
yes, 57 rock for the airport where the tractor.
Where the
is
tractor
right.
sits.
Yeah, and it's been washing away, and they're trying to repair it and secure it. And that's what the 57 rock is for.
And Dan, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but it just needed to be disclosed, is what
Needed
the,
to be disclosed. We did get bids on it, and what I'm saying is, for that amount of money being below all the CCNA sealed bid, or all those requirements, I mean, it's way below all that. And trying to get into substantial compliance in order to meet that exemption, it just saves the airport $500. Yeah. I think so if the board approves it, they can go ahead at the airport meeting and move ahead with it.
Okay, board's discretion.
I'll motion to approve using the, is it a member, board member's
yes, it's a board
company
member.
Suggestion?
Peavy?
It's
Peavy.
Mr. Peavy. He has asphalt company.
Okay.
And he is on the board as a volunteer. It's advisory board. They don't make decisions.
Okay. I'll motion to approve using.
Okay, have a
Mr.
motion by Commissioner Brown to approve the purchase of the 57 rock from one of the airport board's volunteer members, Mr. Peavy. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Reese. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Is that it, Ms. Courtney?
Other than y'all got your staff reports, the water and sewers working on redoing theirs. It'll have a lot more information next month. The billing system doesn't keep up with that information, so they're having to keep up with it. They have a little notebook and they're tallying it up as the month goes on. So that wasn't a real complete report I sent out, but it will be next month.
Thank you.
And just from my perspective, and I'm probably sure that the rest of the board feels the same way, those reports, looking at them at the end of the month, looking at the amount of work and what the work is that these departments accomplish each month, is reflecting again on the compliment that they received tonight on the hard work that they do. They do a lot of work, and we appreciate that. And I know the citizens do as well. Ms. Courtney,
That's all.
you enjoy your trip. Be safe.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Okay. Ms. Keisha.
All right, everybody got their calendars out? We've got October the 15th at 1:30, a CRA meeting. We will be open for Columbus Day. October 17th is a P&Z meeting at 2 o'clock. We will, Halloween is the 31st. That is the day everyone is to trick or treat. We do not change Halloween, just to get that out there ahead of time because we get 100 questions.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that.
Good, good.
So Halloween will be on Halloween. Election Day is November 5th, so make sure everyone gets out and votes.
Thank you.
And our next city meeting will be November the 7th, and we will have our swearing-in ceremony for the newly elected officials.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Keisha? Thank you very much. Okay, Anovia, Mr. Russell.
All right, thank you. We have 6 active projects under construction. 3 of those are wrapping up. Those that are wrapping up completion are phase 2 of the Lighthouse project. We're working through closeout with the contractor and the Water Management District who funded that grant. So that project is virtually complete at this point. Marine Street CDBG work, we did receive the final pay request. We have reviewed the punch list items and those have been satisfied, so that project is also being closed out at this time. The paving work on 5th, 3rd Gray and Avenue A is working to completion. And on the wastewater treatment plant permit, we've asked for a meeting, an in-person meeting at DEP in Pensacola, late October, early November. So once we have that date established, I'll make sure Courtney's aware that we're doing that. The Lanark East and West sewer improvements, those plans are complete, submitted to DEO and Florida Commerce. We're waiting their approval before we can let that project. So that's imminent at this point. Okay, we also have 4 grant submittals that have been made, and those various awards are expected to be made by the end of this year.
By the end of the physical year,
By the end of 2024.
our calendar year.
Calendar year, yes.
Yeah.
Calendar year, yes. Lastly, Avenue C boat ramp. We did have a conversation with someone at FWC in their Florida Boating Improvement Program. And they did determine, they made a determination that this is an eligible project. And the grant application period is to be announced in January 2025.
Okay.
So we'll keep our eye on that one. Okay, and that's our report for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Russell. Any question for Mr. Russell? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the advisory board reports. Ms. Tamara?
Well, good evening. I'm sorry I didn't get you a written report, but basically it looked like it would say ditto last month. So we're still waiting to get the elevator repaired. We're still waiting to get the post in the ground for the historic marker. And those things have been, there's been a lot of competition for the help of the folks that were helping us with those things. So now that we're done with hurricanes now.
Good.
Maybe we can just get back to the more ordinary stuff. But the month of October does bring to the museum a new exhibit that opened on the 1st, which is called Shells and Shards. And it's focused on there's a midden for Jordan Bayou, which is on the west side of town, out near, just past Airport Road down that way. And many years ago when something was constructed out there, they discovered that there was a prehistoric Indian village there. And there were an enormous amount of pottery shards and tools and other things out of there that were saved by a woman named Ellie Lee and her husband Tim Smucker. I'm sure some of you remember who they were.
I do, yeah.
And when they had to sell their house and move to Atlanta because of health reasons, they gave their collection to our museum. And we were very fortunate to have a summer intern this summer that took all that stuff and turned it into a really beautiful exhibit on how during that time pottery was being made for the first time using local clay and other things that are in our environment. So it's very nice. And tools, the shells were begun to be used as tools, like conch shells being used for hammers, and also turn them upside down, use them for a hoe and different things like that. So we've tried to talk about both shells and shards in that exhibit. So it's something a little new, and that just came out very nice. And the other thing that's happening is Saturday is Carrabelle Museum Day. So the 3 museums are all having extra special things happen on Saturday. They're having a very big expanded market at the Lighthouse, including the author that's doing the pirate history books. And then later at 2 o'clock, that author is coming to our museum to give a talk about the real history of pirates in this part of the Gulf. And he's got very good credentials from all the people in Tampa where he does a lot of work. So I think it'll be an excellent program. And then World War II is focusing on certain things in their collections, pieces of history. That's what we're trying to do. And of course, nothing is more pieces of history than the lens at the old lens. It's back at the Lighthouse. So all of those collectively we're calling it pieces of history. So invite everybody. It's all free, and we'd be glad to have anyone come. And I have little tickets if anybody wants a little ticket, but you don't need it. Just come on down, come see us all, and that's all really what I had. We had no damage whatsoever from the storm.
Fantastic.
We were very pleased and blessed all the way around. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Miss Tamara. As usual, and other members of this board has, and I know I have many times, as usual, Miss Tamara and them always impress me. I go by occasionally and visit with her and spend a little bit of time at the museum, and every time I go in, they've added something different, it seems like, and the displays are very professionally presented and set up, and she just does, her and her staff does an outstanding job with our little museum here in Carrabelle. And
Appreciate all your support.
yep.
The city does a lot to help us.
Thank you, Miss Tamara. Okay. Next, public hearings, we have none. Quasi-judicial hearings, we have none. New business, item number 1 is discussion and possible action concerning the lease renewal for Martin Marine at 247 John McGinnis Way. And Mr. Martin, would you like to come up and have anything to say right off to begin with? Okay. Okay, it's and I'll introduce it, I guess, and turn it over to the attorney. It's a little past time for the renewal on the city's building that Martin Marine is leasing from the city for boat storage over there. And when I say it's past time, I think the lease actually expires in January. Am I right, Mr. Attorney?
Yes.
But according to the lease agreement, either the leasee or the leaseor, 6 months prior to the end of the current lease, has the option to request a renewal or not. So anyway, it's that time, and Mr. Martin verbally has conveyed to the city administrator that he's interested in renewing the lease, and I think he is interested in a 10-year lease, but we've had some discussion, myself and the city administrator and the attorney, so the attorney has reviewed the lease recently, and he's going to go over it and discuss it with us, and I think currently we're at the stage that we automatically can go for another 2 years. Is that correct, Mr. Attorney?
That's correct. I can run through the,
Okay.
because I know not everyone was on, or
Yes.
familiar with all the terms.
Right. Okay.
All right. So just basically, back in January 1 of 2021, or January 1st, and was the lease beginning date. There was a lot of negotiation. The initial lease term was 3 years, so that's why we're here
Correct.
today. And starting January 1, ending December 31st, and there was 3 two-year extensions, so a total of 9 years total. And it had rental amounts that scaled up to what it is at currently is $2,943.50. It was negotiated that it would stay at that same rate per month for the additional 2 years, and then in years 6 and 7 it would go to $3,153.75. In years 8 and 9 it would go to $3,364. So, and what it also provided for, and it's what I would say we both missed, is the city, if it wants the tenant to vacate, can give them 6 months notice, needs to give them 6 months notice prior to the expiration of any of these renewal terms, right? So that would give Mr. Ben Baruch heads up that, hey, we're going a different direction with the building. At the same time, he was to give us 6 months heads up if he wants to renew, but again, no big deal. It's fine. So my understanding is what Mr. Ben Baruch's asking for is an amendment to the lease to change this term. He would like to renew, my understanding is for 10 years, starting now for 10 years forward. So it's up to the commission to decide, do we want to just stick with the lease that we have, or are we interested in amending it? If so, how? It's no big deal to do an amendment, but it's certainly a pleasure of the commission on whether or not to do that.
Okay. I have some comments, but I'll open it up to the commission first. Is anyone, Ms. Brown, did you have some comments?
I mean, I was thinking, because I was at the meetings when he was negotiating it. I wasn't a commissioner yet, but I remember all of it. And from what I understand, he's been an excellent tenant. He's running a successful business that benefits this area and fits this area perfectly. If we do extend it to 10 years, I would like to see it, maybe every 2 years, keep it the same way, to where if we need the building for some unforeseen reason, we could give them a 6-month notice, but keep the increases as living expenses and whatnot rise, so that's normal for any type of commercial lease to go up a little bit every couple of years. But I don't see an issue with doing the 10 year as long as we keep those 2 year increments in there to give us that option if we do need that building.
So, and just the food for thought, again, I can do an amendment to the lease. That is not unusual at all on a commercial lease to do an amendment for whatever purpose. And that we could amend the term. We can absolutely amend the rental amount per month. And that has become a big issue in the last couple of years because of inflation. We pay insurance on it. I mean, all of our costs went up, unexpectedly up, from when this was negotiated. So it is very normal to have a percentage increase or tied to an index increase every year, much less every 2 years. So again, just for discussion.
Okay. Any other commissioner? Commissioner Walden, do you have a comment before?
I don't really have a problem as long as we leave ourselves an option to get out. I mean, man's running a business, seems to be doing pretty good over there. It's better to have somebody there than it being empty. So, as long as we can leave ourselves an option there, if we need it.
He has a thriving business. That building has been sort of a thorn in our side for some time. Martin came in and made a good go of it. He keeps it maintained properly. And I can see where he would want to have security since he is, my understanding, he's got new employees and he's looking to expand his services. So, in business, you kind of, if you only got 2 years and maybe questionable every 2 years, it's like, gee, how can I plan for my future? So the 10 years certainly would be a good goal to maintain.
Commissioner Gray?
I agree. I was just thinking more of keeping up with our insurance.
Okay. Let me begin by saying that City Administrator and I did I don't think there's been one since Mr. Ben Baruch has been over there, an inspection by a city council member, but we went over and we did, if you will, a walkthrough, and it looked good. It looked professional. I didn't see anything that stood out that made me want to jump and shout about. There is mechanics that's going on in the building, which that kind of stuff. We talked about oil spills, he and I did, and we talked about different things. But I personally, from my seat sitting here, was satisfied with the performance that they've done over there. And things that have been said about the 10 years, and I've given it some thought. I've tried to satisfy in my mind, or weigh it in my mind, 10 years versus 2 years versus what the attorney just described that we're currently in. And I actually like what we currently in for two different reasons, and those reasons of mine are he's still able to lease that. But I thought about the 10 years. If you give him a 10-year lease, what was discussed and what has been said here, we still could cancel it in 2 years. Or a year and a half, actually, because it says 6 months ahead of it. Okay, we still could cancel it. And I would not want to give anyone false hope that they would have that building for 10 years and then all of a sudden we had to have that building and we canceled the lease after a large investment by the leasee. You see what I'm saying? So I wouldn't want to give that false hope that it's guaranteed for 10 years, that length of time. It's true that the city is benefiting from the lease monies that we are receiving from it, but we're still responsible for a lot of cost in maintenance and upkeep. The leasee is responsible for some of it, but we are still responsible for a lot of it. And as the attorney mentioned there, things have changed drastically in 3 years on the increase of prices, et cetera, and cost, and we haven't went up on it. And if we renewed the lease just as it is right now, there's not a price increase. Am I correct, Mr. Attorney?
Correct. What he's paying now, this year, he would pay for the next 2 years.
Exactly, for the next 2 years.
Yep.
So anyway, my feeling is to keep the lease agreements short. And if these evolve 2 years, 2 years, 3 years, what have you, and he gets into 10 years and everything's going good, and we're not put in a position, or we being the city of Carrabelle, put in a position where we have to have that building, we're good. But it still leaves that businessman to carry on with what he's doing over there, and I think he's doing very well from just observation. Carry on his business, and I'm proud to see his business, and the city still benefits from the lease payments. But anyway, bottom line of what I'm saying, I don't want to give anyone false hope for a long-time lease that they feel like they've got it locked down without any doubt for 10 years. And I wouldn't want to tie the city into a situation to where we couldn't take that building if we need it. And that's my feeling.
Currently, the lease is $2,943.50 per month.
Correct.
Now, that's for the remainder of this 2-year period.
And for 2 more years, right, Mr.
I
Attorney?
believe it comes up.
When you say,
Not for
because
this next one.
we're actually into.
The third
my
year.
math right. We're already in, wait a minute, we're in the 21 to 22.
This first
Correct,
lease was for
correct,
3
correct.
years. That's correct.
Correct. So we're
Yep.
still we're in the third year.
That's
of
right.
The first of the initial term, and then, but the number would not change for that first renewal.
That's correct. The number stays the same. If we renewed the lease as the current agreement is for 2 more years, the rent would not change from what it is right now.
Okay.
It would be the next renewal.
And certainly you all are the decision makers here, so certainly let everybody get everything, but I would suggest, this would be just what I could do here, is I have not talked to Mr. Ben Baruch about this. We're not, I mean, everything's going along smoothly. There's no urgency. I mean, I think, well, I say no urgency. On the city's perspective, no urgency. Mr. Ben Baruch wants probably to get this resolved.
Correct.
But I'm hearing, everybody's on this generally the same page, but we're talking about the term of the lease, as well as any potential renewals. I mean, it could be 5 and 5, it could be 10. I mean, there's everything in between, or literally just sticking with the existing. But a rental increase, which I think, that is a trade, right? That we could make here. The city would improve its position as far as paying for the expenses that we have out there. Mr. Ben Baruch would get some more certainty on a term, and then the ability for the city to terminate. Right. Right now, it depends when we would provide that 6-month notice, but that 6-month notice was 6 months before the end of whatever renewal term.
Correct.
Or the initial term, right? So that's really, I don't want to say.
And I was disappointed when I reread that thing the last couple of days, or re-looked at it, because I was sitting on this board when we approved it. And I thought we had in that lease agreement that we could give the tenant a notice, and they had 6 months.
Well, and this is the
We
thing.
could give them a 30-day notice or 60-day notice.
What I'm suggesting, or just suggest, but you will decide, is that I can get Mr. Ben Baruch. We can go through some of these ideas. We can have, if someone wants to change this, it's real, and he's done that, right? He said, hey, I want 10 years. But that's sort of basic. We're not talking about some of the other moving parts. And he could talk about it here tonight, and we could keep going, or I can talk to him about it and at least get back. I can make some changes, or not propose changes, so that you all have, this is what it would look like at 5 and 5. This is what it would look like. I mean, we don't have to, we know what it looks like if we don't do anything. So that's option 1. Option 2, but I can talk to him about, how much he would be willing to pay more, an increase in rent. Certainly, we would reserve the right to terminate, giving adequate notice, and what that adequate notice is, we can talk about.
I think what I'm hearing here, both from the attorney and from fellow board members, is we're at a point that we want to renegotiate are interested in renegotiating our current lease on the building over there. And he has kind of opened the renegotiation by asking for 10 years, which is not in our current contract.
Right.
And at the time, if we do this, if the board agrees to do this, we can address the notifications on termination, we can address price increases, and we can negotiate those issues. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Yeah.
And what I would do is just to essentially take kind of first cut at it, refine it with Mr. Ben Baruch, right? Where
Correct.
He says, I'm willing to do these things, just like he's saying tonight, he'd like to do or willing to do a 10-year lease, but there are more moving parts.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we would nail those down and then present it to you, and you all would decide whether you want to tweak this or that's okay, that sort of thing.
I think that's where we should go. What about the rest of you?
Agreed.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. There's a couple of different ways to go on here other than the 10 years.
Yes.
I just, the way I look at it as a business person.
Yeah.
That you want security, that you don't want to go, hey man, 2 years, I may have to get all this done. I've done all this work. That's something that goes with me. I'm not going to be here. So,
We ran him off.
Yeah, you're running me off, and you knew I was mouthy when you had me come in there to see.
You can
But
always come and speak.
Yeah, you
thank
can.
you. Well, thank you. But that's what I look at is giving security to businesses. We have an excellent business
Yes.
going on. We need to work to make that a good agreement between us all. That's all I have to say on it at this point.
Okay. You guys good with that?
Yes.
And as the attorney stated, I know that this contract is due January the 1st, current contract. But as he said, I don't think neither the city nor Mr. Baruch is in a position of where we've got to meet a 1st of January deadline. So it can give us time, as he described, to work on it outside of this individually. And we'll try to put something together and start discussions next month.
Very good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll bring you all. at least
Now,
start.
Dan, that's listed as an item. Do you need a motion to table it?
I do, actually, that would be fine. The
Yeah.
motion to table it to date certain.
I make a motion, we table it for further negotiation
To the November
for the
regular meeting.
November.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Reese. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Have a second by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay, discussion, next, item number 2, discussion and possible action concerning a letter of support for Team Franklin to secure grant funding. And this has to do with the housing initiative in Franklin County that Commissioner Brown sits on Team Franklin. And I'll turn it over to Commissioner Brown.
Okay. We met last month on the 24th, the day before we all mostly evacuated, and had a meeting. We had the head of the East Point Water and Sewer District, Billy Fuentes, there, and they have they are requesting for us to send a letter of support so that the board and the East Point Water and Sewer District can apply for grant funding to start the infrastructure planning and prep phase. And if y'all have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yes, and I'll just, I guess, what they're looking for is from the city council, a letter of support supporting their endeavors in trying to secure grant funding for infrastructure on that projects. Okay? Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve this letter.
Of support?
For the grant funding.
Thank you.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Walden. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you all.
All opposed? Motion carried, and good luck with that. And I did get the opportunity to sit in on that meeting, and they're working. That board is working. And that's something that's direly needed in our county is workforce housing. And I think Commissioner Brown is also pushing our need and interest in the old school side out here.
For
And
sure.
she's working on it
Keeping it on the
hard.
radar, that's for sure.
Okay, the next on the agenda is old business, and we have none. Do we have anything further from Ms. Keisha? No? Mr. Hartman? Any commissioner? If not, thank you for coming. Meeting adjourned.